Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the epic clash between old money and new tech and figuring out how crypto is fundamentally rewriting the rules of finance.
Okay, let's jump right in. This single sentence, hidden away in the code of the very first block of Bitcoin. This isn't just a fun piece of trivia. No, this is the Rosetta Stone. It's the key to understanding why cryptocurrency even exists.
So what's the big deal? Why this headline? Because it was a mission statement. It was a declaration of purpose. This was a new technology being born directly out of a deep, profound distrust in the traditional financial system.
All right, so to really get the why behind Bitcoin, we first have to take a look at the system it was designed to challenge. And that whole system, it's built on one single kind of fragile thing, trust. And we're about to see what happens when that trust completely shatters.
You see, the 2008 crisis was the moment the floor fell out. At its heart, the problem was that trust just evaporated. People woke up and realized that the banks and governments they counted on could just change the rules overnight, printing money out of thin air and making every single dollar in their savings account worth less.
And here's the thing. 2008 didn't just happen in a vacuum. It was the explosive finale to a story that started decades earlier. You can trace it all the way back to 1971, when the US dollar was taken off the gold standard. From that day on, our money hasn't been backed by a real asset, just by a promise from a government. And in 2008, that promise felt pretty empty.
So, right in the middle of this chaos, an anonymous creator, or maybe a group of them, known only as Satoshi Nakamoto, unleashed this radical experiment on the world. A new kind of money called Bitcoin.
And the idea? Well, it was simple. But at the same time, it was completely revolutionary. The goal was to create money that nobody, no bank, no government, no CEO could control or print more of or stop you from using. It was meant to be a totally separate, independent financial system.
But here's where the story takes a fascinating turn. Bitcoin's original purpose as, digital cash, it kind of flopped. I mean, nobody's going to wait up to an hour for their coffee purchase to go through, right? Especially if the fee costs more than the latte itself. It just wasn't practical for daily use.
So instead of being digital cash, Bitcoin found its true calling. It evolved. People started seeing it as digital gold. It wasn't for buying groceries. It was a safe haven, a scarce, secure asset you could own to protect your wealth from the constant money printing in the traditional world.
So how does it all stay secure without a bank in the middle? Well, that's the genius of what's called proof of work. Think of it like a massive global competition. These miners use incredible amounts of computer power to solve a puzzle. The winner gets to validate the next batch of transactions. It makes cheating the system astronomically expensive and difficult. You don't trust a bank, you trust math and energy.
But Bitcoin was just chapter one. If Bitcoin was the rebellion, what came next? Ethereum. Well, that was the full-scale revolution. It had a much, much bigger vision.
And this is honestly the perfect way to understand the leap. Bitcoin is like an old-school telephone. It does one thing, and it does it really, really well, transfer value from A to B. But Ethereum is the smartphone. It's an entire operating system, a world computer where people can build thousands of different apps on top of it. The magic ingredient that makes this all possible? Smart contracts. And the vending machine analogy is perfect. You put the money in, that's the condition, and the snack automatically comes out. That's the execution. There's no cashier. The rules are just written in code. It removes the need for human middlemen, like lawyers or brokers, entirely. The code itself is the law. And this right here shows you just how powerful that is. This is what we call DeFi, or decentralized finance. On one side, you have the old way, a bank in the middle, taking its cut, making you fill out paperwork. On the other side, you just have a smart contract. It connects lenders and borrowers directly. The rules are open for everyone to see, and everything is automated. The middleman isn't just cheaper, they are literally coded out of existence.
Now, to power this new world computer, Ethereum uses a different system. It's called proof of stake. So instead of Bitcoin's digital mining, think of this more like a digital security deposit. People who want to help run the network lock up their own coins as collateral. They put skin in the game. If they play by the rules, they get rewarded. If they try to cheat, they lose their stake. It's a super clever way to keep everyone honest, and it uses a tiny fraction of the energy.
So, with all this disruptive tech, you'd think the old guard, the traditional financial empire, would be terrified, right? You'd think they'd be trying to shut it all down. Well, their response has been far more strategic. It's a classic case of, if you can't beat them, absorb them.
Let's be real, at first, crypto looked like a massive threat. I mean, it's a direct challenge to the US dollar.
which has been the undisputed king of global finance for more than half a century. A new form of money outside its control? That's a big deal.
And this is where we see the pivot. It's a masterclass in strategy. Instead of fighting crypto, the US system found a way to wrap its arms around it. How? Through stablecoins, cryptocurrencies that are pegged to the US dollar. Every time one of these is used, it's basically a digital dollar changing hands, extending US influence. And get this, to back up these stablecoins, the companies that issue them often buy US government debt. So they've created a brand new, massive customer for US bonds. It's brilliant.
So what does this mean for every other country out there? Well, it puts them in a really tough spot. They're forced into a dilemma. Either jump into crypto and risk letting the digital dollar take over their own economy, or stay out and risk getting left behind entirely.
Okay, so the big players are now at the table. The empire has made its move. Which brings us to the final critical question. Who actually owns this new digital future? Who holds the keys to the kingdom?
And before we even look at who owns it, we have to remember the single most important rule of Bitcoin. There will only ever be 21 million of them, ever. That number is set in stone, it can't be changed. That fixed supply makes ownership a true zero-sum game. So who's winning that game? Well, this chart gives us a snapshot. At first glance, you see that individuals, a lot of early adopters, still hold the biggest piece of the pie. But look a little closer. The establishment is here. Corporations, Wall Street ETFs, even governments, they are all methodically buying up their slice of this extremely limited asset.
But this one statistic tells the real story. The top 0.3% of accounts hold 82% of all the Bitcoin out there. Just let that sink in for a second. A technology created to decentralize power and spread wealth is right now more concentrated than almost any other asset on the planet.
And so we're left with this incredible paradox. A rebellion against concentrated power is being rapidly consolidated by the powerful, and it leaves us with the ultimate question as we look forward. When the old world of money collides with this powerful new code, who is really going to write the next chapter?